Hello golfers, Eric Brzezinski here, day 23 of the 30-day April practice plan. Today we're going to talk about the pre-shot routine. The pre-shot routine is important because it gets you something familiar that you've done 1,000 times before, right? If you're facing a difficult shot, having a pre-shot routine is one of the few mental things that everyone can kind of take advantage of by just saying, I've done this 1,000 times before, I've done it 10,000 times before. So it's something that repeats and something that gets you comfortable with the shot you're about to face and lets you focus on, you hear people talk about, focus on the process, not the result or the outcome. So it lets you focus on that process instead of worrying too much about the shot. It kind of distracts you and gives you something that you're just familiar with, a habit, a routine to allow you to perform your best. The important things about the pre-shot routine are that it's a routine. It takes the same amount of time and you do the same things, okay? If you have a pre-shot routine, like they say in the NFL, if you have two quarterbacks, you really have one quarterback. If you waggle 6 times on one pre-shot routine and then waggle 3 times on another, do you really have a routine? Not really, it's not repeating, it's not the same amount of time. So today's drills are pretty simple. I want you to first film yourself doing what you think your pre-shot routine is. Start from when you're back here. You've pulled your club, you're back here. You might do this to line up your shot, okay? Start timing yourself back then. Do what you normally do. Don't think about it, just do what comes naturally. You might not have to hit a ball. I'm pretending I'm inside, right? I tend to do that. And then go, and then stop the timer right about then. So I want you to film yourself. I want you to then watch it back, write down everything that you do, waggle 2 times, look at the target, waggle 2 more times, look at the target, look at the ball, whatever. Write that down, and then note the time. Then I want you to film it again. And I want you to see if you follow your script and how your timing works out. You might find that your pre-shot routine takes a little too long. You might find that it takes a little bit, it's very quick, and maybe you'd benefit from doing a little bit more of a rehearsal, and so you don't rush quite so much. Somewhere between 10 to 25 seconds. Generally speaking, 15 to 20 seconds is typical. 10 to 25. You don't want to be too much shorter than that. You don't want to be too much faster than that. Again, it starts back there. It doesn't start when you've necessarily stepped up to the ball. So I want you to film what feels natural. See what that does first. Go quickly again after you write down and time it, and then see what it is, okay? That's the main drill for today. I just want you to, whatever it is. One tip, try to stay in motion during the swing. You won't see many good players who just get up to setup and then who freeze for a while before they start their backswing. Try to stay a little bit in motion. It might not necessarily be visible motion, right? It might be like a little bit of this. You can see my toes barely moving. It might be like even curling your toes a little bit or just barely like bouncing pressure back and forth a little bit, something like that. It might be very simple, but try to stay in motion a little bit, okay? Switching gears then to the post-shot routine, which is under talked about in golf. But the post-shot routine, I like to have my students focus on 4 things in the post-shot routine. The post-shot routine isn't whether you bring your club down, twirl it, and drop it, or anything like that. It's more the analysis of the shot that you just hit, okay? I want you to analyze the shot you just hit for 4 things. First off, contact, okay? How solid was the contact? That doesn't mean if you toe it, you make an immediate change, okay? But just analyze the shot for contact. You want to hit the center of the face. I want you to analyze the shot for distance, because then we can start to factor in how the wind is working that day, how strong or fast you feel that day, the temperature, the barometric pressure, all that stuff, to see if your irons are flying a little shorter, a little longer that day. Analyze the distance you hit the shot. Then I want you to analyze the last 2 things, the flight and the start line. And the flight is obviously the curve of the shot or something like that, or how high or low it went. The start line is very important, and it's something I talk about a lot with my students. Be very, very picky about the start line. If you hit a ball that starts a little left and cuts and finishes to the right, that's very different than a shot that you pushed and finished to the right. It's very different than a shot that started way left and sliced a ton and finished right, start to pay attention to your start lines. They become very important, especially when kind of fixing stuff on the course, because if your start line's off a little bit, you could just aim a little bit further left or right, or orient the club face a little bit left or right. It becomes a very easy thing to fix on the golf course without making a big change. The last thing I'll say about the post-shot routine is, while you're analyzing the contact, the distance, the flight, and the start line, don't make changes on the golf course until there's a very clear pattern. If you hit 1 shot, 2 shot, even 3 shots all the same, that might just be maybe you showed up late and didn't get a great warm-up or something like that. Until you have a pattern, don't make a big change to what you're doing. Only after you've hit 4, 5, 6 of the same kind of shots in a row do you then kind of look at making a change on the golf course, okay? So that's the point of the post-shot routine, just a quick analysis so you can use that information going forward on the shots you play later in the round. And that's all I ask people to do. Especially pay attention to that start line, because that's the easiest thing to fix on the golf course. So that was a little bit of pre-shot routine, a little bit of post-shot routine. We're back onto some actual drills and things tomorrow. I'll see you then.